LC won the Pro Tour, right?
Oh, that's a completely different Pro Tour.
Yeah,
That's Japan. Like,
right. So
Chapin didn't even play in that Pro Tour. Yeah.
So what I meant is, like, but when you think of Curlfan, you think of Patrick Chapin. So, like...
Okay. I mean, I feel like I think about Nassif more than I think about Chapin. I don't know.
But also, like, Nassif's top deck is, like, the story of that top 8. So it's easy to think that maybe, he might have won the Pro Tour. Anyway, what matters is that we are playing this match right here, and it looks like Adam won the dice rolling off for the Plains. For those of you who didn't catch the announcement over the loudspeaker, because of the delay, all of the top 8 is being moved to tomorrow. So instead of watching the quarterfinals tonight and then having the semifinals and finals play out, we will just be seeing, the Swiss rounds tonight, and then you can tune in early tomorrow morning for the rest of it.
Yeah, we'll watch the top 8 tomorrow morning with you guys. There we saw Gerry decided to use his lightning bolt to deal with the step links. That's why the red version of Callblade has such a good matchup here. Before, it was like this even matchup where, like, the dice roll was really important. Like, a turn 1 step links was brutal before you had bolt. But now you can just, bolt it.
Yeah, I mean, like, before we might see, like, Gerry taking 4 damage on this turn, and now Gerry's like, no, mountain bullet. All right, it's out of here. We're done.
And one thing interesting about Adam's list is he does not have a Sword of Feast and Famine. Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting. So Adam has a Stoneforge Mystic package, and his targets are Adventuring Gear, of course, but he has Sword of Body and Mind and Bone Horde, no Feast and Famine, so that's a curious decision. I'm sure he had a good reason for it. So turn 2 Stoneforge by Adam, and Gerry just plays a Seachrome Coast and passes.
Now, what equipment did Adam get with that Stoneforge Mystic?
I didn't catch it. I think the camera might have been panned away. But
Gerry has a Stoneforge Mystic of his own.
Yep, and Adam just passed back. No doubt his plan is to just put his equipment out.
Generally a pretty good plan. That's how the Stoneforge Mystic thing plays out more often than not.
And a preordain from Gerry. Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Mystic is it's, like, the fact that it gets you the equipment is great, but getting it through counter spells for free, being able to, like, play it on your opponent's turn, reduce the cost by 1, are just all great assets of Stoneforge.
Gerry there preordains. Has a Day of Judgment in his hand.
Yep, saw that one. And here comes Stoneforge Mystic. Yep, gonna shuffle his deck. And probably grab Feast and Famine? Or do you think you would grab Body and Mind in this matchup? Once again, I can't quite tell because of how the camera's panned, but I'm sure we'll see here in just a second.
In the Burris matchup, a lot of the time we've been getting sort of Body and Mind.
Yeah. The guy is really important.
Yeah,
right?
the Wolf really helps out.
Yeah.
They have cards like Journey and things like that.
Gerry opts for the Feast and Famine version.
Nice.
Which is still not a bad call. You can't go wrong with either one, and I'm sure Gerry's got a plan. So
yeah, I believe in the Gerry.
So it looks like Adam did get that sort of Body in mind, and it comes down here.
And Gerry has a Day of Judgment in his hand, so he's probably just trying to get his opponent to play more guys. That Stoneforge Mystic has no value as long as Gerry has the Day. This one's stuck on 2 lands, which should, make you think that Gerry has a very solid lead here. He's going to Fate Seal. He's going to pass. Now Adam gets to connect here with a sword. He's going to mill Gerry for 10 cards. He's going to make a Wolf. He could go at the Jace and put the Jace down to 2, but unless he has a bolt or something to finish it off, it seems like that's kind of a questionable line of play.
And yeah, Adam really needs another land here. He's got Adventuring Gear, so he really needs another land. Okay, so looks like he has one. He's might just been saving.
It. Boom.
All right, Terramorphic Expanse.
He's cracking it. That's a lot of damage. He's coming in for 7. That thing is 7 power.
Yeah, I think Gerry's going to take the hit here and not the Jace, would be my prediction. So, yeah, 7 power, plus you get a Wolf and milling cards. I mean, we just had Mike Flores in here talking about how milling cards is really good against the Cobblade deck. Obviously, it's different if you're playing a beatdown deck, but still, you get some of the Squadron Hawks out of their deck. It could be a huge hit to their game plan.
I think it's also something that has a lot less importance than he necessarily was putting into it.
Sure.
I think it's think it's something that happens to be decent sometimes,
Right.
not something that's completely backbreaking.
Right, when you hit it correctly. So let's see, it mills an Inferno Titan. See, is that a Day of Judgment, 2
We got a pair of
Gideons,
Gideons.
Preordains, Spell Pierce, and 1 Squadron Hawk, it looks like.
You think it's single Falk out of there?
Yeah, I think you got 1 Hawk. And that 2/2 Wolf comes down. So Gerry's sitting on 13 life, but he managed to untap with an active Jace. So
Yeah,
that's
I
gonna be
mean,
huge.
Jerry's going to have a turn where he goes Brainstorm with Jace, Day of Judgment.
Yep.
Aren't those the best turns?
Phew. Anytime we're untapped with Jace is a good turn in my book.
Yeah. You know, I'm brainstorming. My opponent has nothing in play. Next turn, I'm going to brainstorm again because I just cast Day of Judgment.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's where like cards like Hero of Oxid Ridge just really come into play because the control decks rely on those turns a lot of the time. And
Yeah, I
know.
mean, he's got Jace. He's going to start countering those heroes. He's going to start casting
yep.
bolts.
And here comes the day. And so Adam loses his team.
Yeah, and I mean, now it's interesting to note is that now that's a 1-for-0 for Gerry. That day, he didn't even get a card out of that. You know, his opponent still had the equipment from the Stoneforge Mystic,
Right.
and the equipment was what made that creature. So Adam didn't lose a single card in that ordeal.
Like it's amazing, yet still how ahead Gerry looks with that Jace on the table. You know.
Oh
Just-
yeah,
just
I mean
clearing
the
the table there
Jace
is so
itself
huge.
is just such a powerful tool.
And so that Mirror Crusader comes down for Adam, and like the Crusader's good, but even worse case for Gerry, Jace can just bounce it and
Yeah,
puts
I mean,
Adam right
Jerry's
back where
got
he was. Like
so many options.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
you said, I mean, with the turn 1 bolt on that step links.
I like this play by Gerry.
He drops
He has to
his-
bounce the Mirror Crusader.
Yep. I mean, it's a really efficient way of dealing with it because if Adam just replays the Mirror Crusader, like that's so good for Gerry.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it just makes Adam waste his turn.
and Gerry has a mana leak now too. So
Yep.
even if Adam plays something like a Koth or a hero,
Right.
he's still in a terrible spot.
And Jerry's just 2 lands away from being able to activate Colonnade, equip Sword.
Yeah, and then
And-
start bashing and untapping his lands.
Right, and then he takes the aggressor. And when we saw Brian Kibler play this deck in San Jose, I mean, he really kept talking about how you just want to be the aggressor, and especially with the addition of the swords to the deck, being aggressive is so crucial. Being able to switch your modes of play.
Yeah, now Adam did have the Koth that he wanted to have drawn there, but the mana leak made that a non-issue.
Yep. And I
Jerry's,
think Jerry saw 2 lands.
He's working his way up to Colonnade equip type mana.
Yep. So let's see, he's got another mana leak. He just drew off that Jace.
And even as another Jace, so if he gets to the point where he needs to bounce something, he could bounce something and then replay Jace and brainstorm on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely. This game is quickly running out of Adam's favor. And yeah, I mean, just that 1 lightning bolt like, on that step links was such a big deal. I mean, because that alone saved Gerry, I don't know, 8 points at least probably of damage.
Yeah, I mean that was the whole strength of the Bros deck over the Caw-Blade deck at the Pro Tour in Paris was the option of sticking something like a Seplinx or a Goblin Guy and just getting in underneath the Caw-Blade deck. Because the Caw-Blade deck against decks like that really wants to play its cards like Gideon. You know, it really needs to assemble these sword combos.
And Squadron Hawk gets countered by a mana leak, but a second Hawk to follow it up by Adam. He's going to search out some more.
It's always frustrating when you use a mana leak on a Squadron Hawk and they play another one.
I know, but I mean, it was definitely correct for Gerry to run that leak there. It just didn't work out as well for him as he had hoped. On the flip side, it does mean 1 less Hawk is in play, but it makes that Colonnade Bash plan look a lot less attractive.
I mean, he's getting another brainstorm. You
Ah,
can't really.
and shuffle the good old shuffle your deck, brainstorm. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Gerry doesn't look to be in any sort of trouble here. He's connecting with that sword.
Yep. So bounce the hawk, which is relatively whirless since he's searched up all the hawks already, and now he swings for 6 and gets to untap all of his lands.
It's interestingly enough decides to pitch a Journey to Nowhere. He values the Squadron Hawks in his hand higher than the spot removal spell.
No doubt. I mean, he figures at this point he's probably going to have to get through that colonnade, because even with the Squadron Hawks to back it up, yeah, so he wants to have the sword to deal with that colonnade. And yep, bolt comes down for Gerry. And that's going to give Gerry another turn of swinging in for 6 and sort of feast and famining and all these things.
So Gerry once again can activate the colonnade. He can equip the Sword of Feast and Famine, and then he can bash in, untap all of his lands, and then he can probably play another Stoneforge Mystic, another sword. I mean, this seems pretty locked up at this point.
Yeah, Gerry seems in a great position.
I mean, Adam still has a lot of cards, though. We don't know what's in his hand. And,
Adam has a lot of cards, just doesn't necessarily have the time to use it all. And then here comes down another Stoneforge Mystic and a Squadron Hawk. Gerry grabs his other 2 hots.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. It's going to be a rough... I don't know. I can't think of many lines of play where Adam's able to pull this one out. Oh, and yep, there we go. Adam packs up his cards.
Yeah, wants to move on to game 2. I need to get tissue. Sorry.
And Gerry takes the first game in pretty short order. I mean, that bolt was just devastating on the first turn. Played out pretty much just like Jake said it would, and except Adam was a little light on lands, and now they're going into sideboard games. Looking at their sideboards, looks like, let's see, Gerry is definitely getting those Cunning Spark Mages. Those are going to be huge for him, and another Day of Judgment. Other than that, those seem to be maybe what he's bringing in. Divine Offering is a potential card. There's probably a good chance Offering will come in depending on how many cards Gerry has to take out. He's already bringing in several. But and then from Adam's side, he has, let's see, Market Mutiny, Core Firewalker, Cunning Spark Mage, Arc Trail, Sword of Feast and Famine, Basilisk Collar, and Koth are all cards he's got sitting in his sideboard. If he's worried about those Squadron Hawks coming up the ground, he might bring in that Cunning Spark Mage just to be able to take those guys down. Firewalker is pro-red for whatever that's worth to him. I don't know if Arc Trail makes it. And so the sword's in his sideboard of Feast and Famine, so he might want that potentially. Seems good in the control match. So we didn't know the notices before, but the sword, Jake, is in the sideboard. So
that's an interesting choice.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I'm surprised he chose the Body and Mind main.
Yeah, so do you think he's going to be boarding in for the control matchups, or what do you think that's there for?
I'm not sure. Now, it's interesting. Like, Adam could very well move to a Cunning Spark Mage plan post-board. I think that's what a lot of these people have been doing. So I don't know if you really want the sword, because then you're going to want to search for a collar. Now, he doesn't know that Gerry's on a Linvala plan post-board. Let's see, does Gerry have 2 or 3 Linvalas?
Just 2 Linvalas.
2. So his list is identical to Drew Levin's.
Yes.
Okay. When I spoke to him on Thursday, he still had 3. I'm wondering, found the nod. Now, post-board, this seems like it just gets better for Gerry, right?
Yeah, I mean, those Cunning Spark Mages are just going to be brutal against Adam. I mean,
on the draw, it could just be too little, too late.
That's very much true. I mean, if he hits a fast draw of Goblin Guide,
a turn 1 step links into a turn 2 Goblin Guide,
right,
with a bolt or something like that. He can't do that because it's impossible to have the right lands to do that. But I mean, just so long as you have an aggressive start and your opponent does not have a lightning bolt, it doesn't matter if they have a Spark Mage. by the time they actually, you know, do anything like relevant, like play the Spark Mage, like you've already dealt them like 13 or 14 damage, and it's easy to just reach over the top with the last few points.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big hinges of this matchup is just if Gerry has a Bolt in his opener. I mean, that seems so incredibly good for him in the first game. And
and just so you know, Gerry's deck is identical to his deck from last weekend, except he has found room for a single Inferno Titan over a Day of Judgment in his main deck list.
The Linvalas he didn't have last week, right?
Oh, I'm talking about the main deck.
Oh, just the
his
main
deck
okay.
is identical, +1 Inferno Titan. His sideboard, he found room for Linvalas.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a deck he knows how to play quite well. And
I think Gerry knows how to play every deck so well. He's just always
that main deck Inferno Titan is
throwing
is a
mastery around. Claudio Fuentes watching his friend Gerry Thompson. Ooh. Gerry's got a pretty nice opener here. It's one of those openers where, like, it has great potential in a preordain.
So what do you have there? I see Stoneforge Mystic, Day of Judgment, Island Preordain. What else is there?
I believe there's a Linvala.
Okay. Yep, it looks like there's a Linvala
and a Gideon.
too. That and it looks like we have a Goblin Guide opening. Yep, here comes Goblin Guide, and digs Gerry to another land. Something
that's pretty good. Gerry's gonna have to discard in his end step here.
He draws another land too.
Unless he drew like a red source and a lightning bolt.
Did not occur. And Preordain happens. Looks like, is that 2 more lands?
It is 2 more lands.
So he definitely wants to settle land on top, so he gets a free draw from the guide, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely
it's
gonna put 1 on.
Top,
Ooh.
Oh, and he draws that mountain.
That's interesting.
Gerry clearly trying to dig to find Bolt or something else to stem the early tide. Because like we were saying, it's like he's got the day. He just has to get that far into the game. But if, you know, a Goblin Guide army beats him down, that could be an issue.
Yeah, sometimes the red decks just get in so fast, especially if they're on the play and have a card like Goblin Guide. It's really tough if you don't have a Bolt. It becomes so hard to interact with that board.
2/2 haste for 1 mana. What a crazy world.
It's a pretty good card.
Seems reasonable. So the guide serves in again, and Adam cracked his fetch land, so I guess we're maybe play a Geopeed here? Oh, Squadron Hawk comes down.
Hawk. Now that's a lot more manageable for Gerry.
Yeah, I mean, because the Geopeed really threatens a lot of damage quickly, but...
Yeah, I mean, if he plays a Geopeed, like a fetch land is like a potential win the next turn, basically. Like he puts him in actual like Koth range.
Right. Where Squadron Hawk, while a great long game attrition card, is just not what you're looking for when you want to have that quick start. And here, Gerry quickly lays that Stoneforge Mystic out there. And he finds a Basilisk Caller, which, even without a Spark Mage active, can still gain him some life and Death Touch away a Goblin Guide or something similar.
You know, Collar is one of those cards that Collar is actually just insane in the Caw-Blade Mirror, even if you don't have a Spark Mage, because you just put a Collar on a Squadron Hawk and they can't attack you anymore.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter how many swords they put on their own Hawk, like, it's, you know,
I mean,
Basilisks are scary creatures.
Yeah, I mean, everyone always thinks of Basilisk Caller plus Cunning Spark Mage, but the Caller is just a great card on its own.
Yeah, it's really good. Alongside the Squadron Hawks, it just becomes like an endless stream of condemns.
Absolutely. So we see Adam serve in with Squadron Hawk and Goblin Guide here, and Gerry is thinking about if he wants to block. And yeah, he ends up putting his Stoneforge Mystic in front of that Goblin Guide, saves 2 points of damage. Gerry's been having to discard because the Goblin Guides have been fueling up his hand so much. Another Mystic comes down in the game, this time on Adam's side.
Gerry's definitely on his heels here, but This is not entirely unreasonable.
And this time the Basilisk Collar is on Adam's side. And here comes down the collar.
Oof. That's a board. All right, Gerry's going to preordain again. What is he looking for? He may just want like a... I don't know if he has a mana leak or some other way to interact with his opponent on his next turn. That would have been nice if he was able to, you know, play another land, pass the turn with mana leak up, and then once the turn gets passed back to him, he can play day.
Yeah, I mean, so Gerry's almost certainly daying next turn, but he's taking at least 4 points of damage here. Yeah, so here comes in, yep, all 4.
And that'll put Gerry down to 11.
And then Adam cracks his land. Could we potentially see a Koth this turn? That's going to be pretty rough. If Gerry's forced
I mean,
to day,
he definitely didn't have a Koth because he would have played it before combat. Cracked for 4.
I mean, I think that's the play that you would make in that situation. It's possible he could be trying to go for the ultimate here, but...
Well, isn't it still good to play before combat if you're going for the ultimate?
Right, yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's definitely not Koth. Unless, yeah, no, there's absolutely no reason why.
It's probably not a 4-drop. It could be like another Mystic, something like that.
Okay, so yeah, he's just going to game out another Hawk.
Okay. Yeah, another Mystic would be nice because he could, you know, Stoneforge in the equipment he gets with the one that's not summoning sick.
So Gerry draws Cunning Spark Mage, which is going to be huge for him post.
Yeah, I mean, now Gerry's got this.
Yeah, it's a great situation for him.
No, I mean, his land that comes into play tapped, it's all but locked up at this point. I mean, so hard for Adam at this point.
Yeah, I mean, alright, so taps 3, and there's a Spark Mage with a collar. That I guess will help stem the tide of Gerry's Spark Mage collar, but the Spark Mages are still going to trade up at worst. But I'm sure Gerry's considering his options. He'd love to find a way to kill that Spark Mage, and he's got a Gideon.
Well, I mean, he can just play Gideon. And
yeah. Yep, and he's going to be +2. You have to attack me. And then it makes it pretty good to kill that Spark Mage next turn with the Gideon's -2 ability.
You know, he has to use the Spark Mage main phase, which, you know, one may think, well, now Gerry can shoot that Spark Mage on his next turn with Gideon, but he doesn't even have to. He can just play his own Spark Mage, and Adams is tapped, so...
Yes. Yeah, Gideon's really interesting. It slows down that Spark Mage, or it not necessarily slows down.
It forces the Spark Mage to use the sorcery speed.
Yeah.
Which, it, like, makes the Spark Mage lose the Spark Mage war.
Definitely. Also, just once again, it allows it to be killed by Gideon. I think Gerry will likely go for the Spark Mage on Spark Mage plan here, depending on what Adam plays. All right, so here comes another Squadron Hawk. And another Squadron Hawk. That's all 4 Hawks from Adam, correct? Because he laid, yeah. So yeah, he pings Gideon down for 1.
Right, so now...
Picks up a life.
Gideon will go back up to 8.
8 loyalty is just so much loyalty for that
So
Burrow step to
much.
push through.
It's pretty hard to beat that down.
Yeah. Gerry quickly looks and sends him south.
Yeah.
Oh, and
No, I
there's
don't
no
need those
Squadron
cards.
Hawks. Yeah, Gerry keeps finding what he's looking for. Yep, here, Spark Mage knocks down the
Shoots down the
Spark
opposing
Mage.
Spark Mage.
And here comes a Squadron Hawk. Yeah, this.
And Gerry's full of gas again.
Yeah, this is looking so good for Gerry.
Just gotta hope he doesn't forget that Gideon.
Yep, the Gideons. Let's see, I'm looking at Adam's deck list. I mean, so he bolts down that Gideon, which I guess is a good start to killing it. I'm trying to think what a good card to draw here would be. Hero of Oxid Ridge could be an okay play by Adam.
Yeah, I mean, the one rough part about Hero of Oxid Ridge is that, like, he's still just got to like crack everything at the Gideon, and then he just really opens himself up to like a second day.
Right. I mean,
and he knows Gerry's played like so many preordains and things like that.
Yeah,
It's just really hard.
I mean, Adam is 1 card, and Gerry, okay, Arc Trail. So he did work in the Arc Trails. That was really good there. Knocks down that Spark Mage.
Huh.
Opts to not equip that collar. And yeah, just passes. And Gerry is pretty firmly in control of this game here. It would take quite the series of top decks from Adam. He could still do it. I mean,
Gerry can just keep pumping this Gideon at this point.
yeah, but it's... I'm trying to see what's in Gerry's hand. He's got a Jace, for sure, and a couple lands. Oh man, another Spark Mage. Whew. And Adam is out of cards. This seems like a rough situation. Trying to figure out a sequence of plays. But it does not look particularly likely, even if Adam were to draw every card he could want in order.
I mean, Gideon locks it up sometimes. What a powerful, powerful effect on the board. You have Gideon and he just, you have to attack him every single turn. He makes your Spark Mages useless.
Yeah, I mean, just goes to show, things are looking maybe a little rough for Gerry early on, and then, just a couple preordains later, he found the cards he was looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, Adam, luckily for Gerry, had a Squadron Hawk instead of a plated GAP on turn 2, and he was able to save a lot of damage there.
Okay, so another Arc Trail off the top for Adam. That's helps stem the tide a little, but yeah, that's going to take that guy down. And Gideon can honestly just start coming in for 6 here.
Yeah, I mean, he could even lifelink it up.
Yeah, just give Gideon a collar, right, and gain 6 life. That seems pretty likely what's going to happen on the next attack step.
Pretty good to me.
Yeah, so Gerry's thinking. I mean, Gerry is traditionally, from the games I've seen him play, he's a pretty careful player. He doesn't want to accidentally open himself up to something, so maybe he won't swing in with that Gideon. But it seems so good to me to activate that Gideon and put a collar on it. But I'm sure he's considering, right now he's trying to figure out how can Adam win this game? What series of draws can happen? If I gain 6 life and he swings in and kills my Gideon,
it's really interesting, how does Adam win this game if Gideon has 4 loyalty?
Right.
Because I feel like the windows close, a lot of them.
Right, exactly. All right, so he lays a Glacial Fortress. Yep, and he's going to do that. And yeah, here we go. Serving for 11 points. Gerry's going to go up 6 life. And
let's put it down to 8, I believe.
Yeah, surging for 11. Yeah, so down to 8. And yeah. And yeah, there is the hand. And Gerry takes a match, advancing to 3-0 with his new take on Cobblade. We could see a repeat performance.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He's an excellent player. The deck's really well built. As I said, yeah, the Burrow Smash is great for Gerry.
Yeah.
He is very much in control there.